it has angered me, indeed it's always angered me, the society-wide in general, although really especially the women's groups, feminist, and anti-FGM people's sniggering indifference and even outright hostility to ever discussing or dealing with the topic of male genital mutilation. And I have been perplexed as to how we might ever break through this barrier. And the unbelievable hypocrisy and this sniggering indifference and mocking and derision that often comes out of these people has enraged me to the point where I think we may end up having to pour sand into the gears of civilization. We may end up having to pour sand into the gears of polite society. We may have to declare war on polite society in a strategic sense. I mean, outright controversial, divisive things. I'm talking about things like, I have always wanted to see intactivist protests take place in crowded public places where you wouldn't ordinarily think of them being. Okay, that may mean a public park, or during a First Fridays event in a town, during a festival, outside the gates of an amusement park, on a public beach. I saw a video of something at a public beach recently, where some guy threatened to chase him off. Just ridiculous. Public beaches are like public parks in that regard, I believe. You can't, it's public property. You can't just drive people off. And there's a YouTube user called Mo Love who has quite bravely piloted a program of one-man intactivist protest with signs walking through the massive First Friday events, I believe in Austin, Texas. The crown jewel in all this would be like protesting outside of an elementary, middle, or high school, right in the pickup hour at 3 p.m., where the parents and the kids are together in the car driving right past you, and you've got a big poster of an infant tied to a circumstraint board getting his penis mutilated, and maybe with the words, stop cutting baby penis, or infant circumcision is genital mutilation, or infant circumcision is child rape. Keep it simple. Like that would be, people would. I mean, there's nothing more that parents would dread than the issue of infant circumcision being raised to their children. They wouldn't even like you out there claiming that circumcision was wonderful. They don't even want to hear the word circumcision. They already know they've done something friggin' evil. But this is almost not even what I'm talking about. I actually think that that's kind of within the pale of ordinary, legitimate, intactivist discourse. Like, we should be doing that, regardless. It's interfacing with the victim and parents, to some degree perpetrators, but the victim, we're talking directly to the victim. We are the first person to tell them the truth. Their parents and the doctors have lied to them by omission, and we would be the first person to tell them the truth. I remember when I was younger, when I first had my circumcision revelation, one of the first things that came to my mind was, my God, I have been lied to. And yes, lie by omission is a kind of lie. I've been lied to. And you've all been I've been lied to, and it took this, me learning it on my own. That was the truth. We'd be telling these kids the truth. The hideous, nasty truth, but it's the truth. Like the red pill in the Matrix, right? But that's like within legitimate. That should be within legitimate intactivist discourse, and I want to see some. I want to see some of that going forward. I'm excited, but I'm talking about even more divisive things. Like I said, pouring sand into the gears, declaring war on society, and telling society at large, and especially these feminist groups that really just don't seem to like talking about this. You know, you're either going to start caring about this, or we're going to start doing things like what I'm about to describe. We could set up an online organization with an online presence and a Twitter account and media outreach and a poster and video campaign, probably targeted at Africa, extolling the benefits of female circumcision and advocating female circumcision. You know, talking about the actual studies, Kanki et al. And Stallings et al., which found a 50% reduction in HIV in circumcised African women. That's true. I mean, they found it. I make what you will of the results. They exist. Okay? Look at society and look at these organized women's groups and say, you're going to start to care about male genital mutilation, or we're doing this, and we're doing this because you don't care. The minute that you start to engage and start to care about men's and boys' suffering with regards to circumcision, and we get serious about a circumcision ban and justice for the victims and punishment for the perpetrators, then it'll be over. We could do it in other ancillary sort of ways. We could, you know, whisper into the ear of legislators, you know, oh, the sexual assault laws are just so strict, you know. Relax those a little bit. Relax the sentencing a little bit. Where I live, there was recently a campaign to gather funds to do genetic testing on a really old backlog of rape kits. Like, these are old rape kits that I don't know, they must have gone back mid-90s and previously. I think the first genetic testing for a high-profile case was in like 1987, and rape is, you know, a bit lower down than murder, and I think that was a murder case. I don't know. But like, there's a whole bunch of rape cases that have never been genetic tested, and they wanted to get money to genetic test these. Well, you could whisper, you know, well, that's very expensive, and those cases are cold. There's no reason to be doing this. Those funds would be better allocated elsewhere. We could very perniciously announce this to the world, and you know, you better start caring, or we're going to start pouring sand into the gears of civilization. We are, and it's so bad. It is so pathetic that the moment people would begin to care, the only time people would start to care about this would be the moment that we make it into a women's issue. It's sort of why, you know, I wish there were some brave legislatures back in the 90s that said, nope, I'm not voting for the anti-FGM law. Either it's illegal for both or it's illegal for neither. You know, make it a women's issue so that society actually cares about it. I don't know. These would have powerful. I mean, can you imagine the outrage? We could really get. Oh man, we could really stir the pot. I mean, we could really cause a lot of controversy and get a lot of attention for ending male genital mutilation. I don't know. Like I say, just the outright refusal to deal with it. Another thing about the rape kit testing, it was actually being sold. The people who were selling it, they were doing this whole, you know, damsel in distress sort of, oh, we got to protect the women. And I'm like, you do realize men and boys can get raped too, and it just went right over their heads. I mean, people don't empathize with men, but they empathize with women. So if you can somehow make it about women, you can get people to react. It's just food for thought. I don't know where we could carry this later. We'll see. Tell me what you think. Bye-bye.